Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, you are welcome. My name is Stephanie. I film videos all the way from Cameroon on cooking, vlogging and many more. So please consider clicking the red button to subscribe to my channel and also turn on your post notification so that whenever I upload any of my videos, you'll be the first person to get the notification. Today I want to show you guys how to make fish stew, and let's introduce you to the ingredients. So to the ingredients, we have our fresh tomatoes, and then we have some onion, we have ginger, we have garlic, I have celery stalks. Celery stalks are going to give this your stew a different level of taste. I also have my green pepper. So these are the ingredients I am going to be using for my cooking. So you may want to subscribe and also keep watching. Tomato stew, fish stew, whatever stew you're making is always very easy if you can find the basic ingredients around your house. So I also have curry, I have my onga, and I have some salt and Maggi crevette. I love Maggi crevette. And I'm also going to use 3 fresh mackerel for this recipe. Then I have my blender to also blend. So right now I'm going to go ahead and just cut this fish into desirable sizes. That's, you cut the fish into the kind of size that you want it to be, and then I'm going ahead to transfer it into a sifter. Why? Because I want that extra water to come out of it. I don't want it for my stew. So I'm going to transfer it into a sifter, and then I'll go ahead and I'll turn it into a bigger bowl. Well, I'm going to make sure I marinate it with some salt and Maggi, and then after putting this salt and Maggi, I'm just going to beat it up, like make sure everything has completely mixed. Why? Because we don't want that tasteless fish. We want to make sure the fish has some taste. Now you can do this and then you sun it, put it under the sun so that it can really get dry. That's how my mama used to do it. So you should make it like that, put in a sifter and dry it under the sun to make sure that the Maggi, the salt, everything gets inside. But I was in a haste, so I just had to transfer mine into a sifter and then set it aside for just a few minutes, because this recipe, like I told you, I was back from church and I needed to eat. So I transferred it into a sifter and then I set it aside to get dried and to make sure the salt penetrates into the fish before I go ahead and start frying my fish. And then after now, I'll just go ahead, take my tomatoes, and I'll make sure I cut them into slices. These are healthy tomatoes from Bamenda. This is not Boya tomato. So this is Bamenda tomato. Bamenda tomato is always very dry and it doesn't have much water. So make sure when you want to blend it, be careful how you put in water, because we don't want our stew to be watery. We want that thick and healthy stew. So I'm just cutting it into my blender. I'll blend the tomatoes first before blending the garlic, ginger and onion. Why? Because I don't want it to mix together, because sometimes when you join it together, then garlic and the ginger will not blend properly. So while that is blending, I'll just go ahead and fry my fish, start frying my fish. I have to fry the fish in 2 portions. So I'll fry the first half and then I'll fry the second half. Now when you're frying your fish, you have to understand that sometimes if you don't use a non-sticky frying pan, your fish is going to just stick under the pot and you'll not like that. So make sure you use a frying pan that is non-sticky, a frying pan that will not make your fish to like stick under the pot. So that's the kind of frying pan I am using. While my tomato is blending, I'm making sure that I check on my fish. So this is the second half now that I'm going to blend. I'll just put small amount of tomatoes in the blender to help the process to be fast, and I'll chop my garlic and I'll put it inside. I'll also put in my ginger, I'll put in the celeries, and then I'll put in my pepper. This celery, guys, it gives different level of taste to your stew. Just try it if you have never tried it before. And then I'll go ahead and cut my green pepper to remove those seeds from inside. Guys, if you're cooking your green pepper and then you have to blend it with a seed, sometimes your stew can taste maybe weird. I don't understand, but when I prepare my stew one day like that, I realized that the taste was not good. I had to verify what happened. I realized that it was a green pepper. I'm also going to chop in this onion and blend it alongside. Blending onion in tomatoes and spices just make your stew equally have a different level of taste, and onion help to make your stew to look very clean. Now my first half of fish is ready. I'm just going to go ahead and remove it from the pot and transfer it into a bowl, into a plate, while I put the second half on fire. The fish is exactly golden brown, and that's what we want for our recipe. We don't want that fish that is not too dry or too dry. No, we just want something between not too dry and dried, like just something in the middle. So that you, because we are still going to put this inside the stew. So I'll go ahead now and put the head of the fish. I could not put the head of the fish and the tail together, so I'll just put the head. And when you're frying the head of the fish, you have to understand that those eyes can give us that sound poof, and we don't want it. So I go ahead and press those eyes to make sure that I remove that water from the eyes, so it will not explode in my pot. And at this point, I have some few middle to also add it inside the oil. Also make sure that you're very careful, because it was during my editing process that I had to realize that the oil was flashing on top of my gas and there was fire. I didn't understand that to the end. Guys, make sure you choose healthy fish. I know sometimes we are tempted to take the smaller ones because there might be many or much, but always go for healthy fish, as first of all, healthy fish has that good taste. When you're using healthy fish, it has a good taste rather than going for those small sizes. But anyway, you still taste good if at all you salt it very well. So after now, I'm going to use the same oil to fry my tomato with it, because in this oil now there's salt, there's Maggi there, and everything. Look at my fish, golden brown, and that's what we want for this stew. Golden brown, that's exactly what we want. So you can use any fish of your choice. So I'll just go ahead, put my pot on fire, take the oil which I fry my fish with, and put some quantity into my pot. I'm also going to taste with a small amount of onion to see if the oil is ready for me to proceed. Then I'll go ahead and put in my onion. After sauteing my onion, I will saute just for a few seconds. I'll go ahead now and I'll take my curry and my onga. I'm going to infuse my curry and onga into this oil. If you infuse your curry and onga in your stew or any oil, even jollof rice, the rice has a beautiful taste and the flavor is amazing. I'll now go ahead and transfer my garlic, ginger, onion, and celery mixture first into the pot before adding in my tomato paste. So that's it. This is also going to infuse the oil with some good flavor. The garlic is going to put in some good flavor into the stew. So if you are not a fan of garlic or ginger, you can skip this stage of not putting them in your stew. But I just think try and put them in your stew and you enjoy it. Now I'll go in now my tomato paste. Guys, can you see a level at which everything is looking inside the pot? It is right up. But this water has to completely get dry until we no longer see any water except the oil. That is what we want. We want very dry tomato stew. So right now, I'll allow this to cook for 20 minutes. So after 20 minutes of cooking, there is another line. Can you see where the level where the water was before? That's the level where we had the water before. But right now, at this stage, I'm going to taste and then I'll add in my Maggi. I'll add in my salt. So I'm using 2 cubes of Maggi crevette. You use Maggi depending on the quantity of stew you're cooking. So I'm just making a stew for a family of 4 of us. We are just going to eat this evening and that's all. But it's quite much, so we can save some later. At this point, I'm also going to add in my fish, because we also want the fish to absorb moisture from the stew. We don't just want the fish to be fried and kept aside. So after my salt, I'm going to go ahead and make sure I taste. And also at this point, if you think you can add some oil in your stew, that's fine. But my stew had so much oil. You can look at it now, you're not seeing it, but my stew, guys, there was so much oil. After I added in the fish and I realized that oil was coming out of my stew. But the oil was exactly the quantity in which I want it to be, because I don't want to eat rice with stew with so much oil inside. So I now transfer my fish into my oil. Sometimes we are tempted to just keep the fish aside so that whenever you want to serve somebody, just take one piece and then you put in the person's food. But please try and put it inside your tomato paste, your tomato sauce on fire. Allow it to cook for at least 5 minutes. Guys, you'll come back and thank me later, because the taste and everything is different. The fish itself tastes different. The flavors and everything will be incorporated into the fish. So guys, can you see how thick my stew is looking like? And it's very fresh, because the tomatoes makes it very sweet and everything tastes so fresh. So please subscribe. Click the like button if you haven't done so. So I'm going to be eating my stew with rice. You can eat yours with whatever thing you want, either yam, ripe plantain, even with bread. Whatever thing that suits you, you can eat your stew with it. So I am going to have my own stew today with a plate of rice. Can you guys see how the stew is looking like? Can you see some oil on top of the stew? That's just exactly what I want for my stew. I don't want it too oily. I don't want it too dry. So thank you so much for watching.